There are 9 common mistakes that you can correct during self-edits before your book ever goes to your editor. And knowing how to identify and correct them makes you a better writer. If your prose feels amateur and you cannot say why, you're in the right place. I'm Allison, a developmental editor and founder of Golden Editorial. I spend every single week inside unpolished manuscripts, helping writers get their books ready for readers, agents, and publishers. Today, we're walking through 9 common writing mistakes you don't need an editor for and how to fix each one. And before we dive in, I want to say this clearly. None of these mistakes mean you're a bad writer. They mean you're a normal writer. Every first draft has them. The difference between an amateur manuscript and a professional one isn't avoiding these mistakes while drafting. It's catching them during your self-editing, which precedes your work with a professional editor. Let's go. Mistake number 1, filter words. These are the little verbs that filter the story through your character's perception instead of letting the reader experience it directly. Words like saw, heard, felt, noticed, watched, realized. Here's what I mean. First draft version looks like this. She saw the door swing open. She heard footsteps in the hall. She felt her stomach tighten. Now, here's the revised version. The door swung open. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Her stomach tightened. Feel the difference? The second version puts the reader inside the character. The first puts them across the room, watching the character have an experience. Every filter word adds a pane of glass between your reader and your story. Why do we do this? Because when we draft, we are watching the movie in our heads and narrating what the character notices. It is completely natural and completely fixable. The fix is this. Once your draft is done, search for saw, heard, felt, noticed, watched, realized. You do not have to cut every single one. Sometimes the act of noticing is the point, but you can usually cut 80% and your prose gets more immersive on the spot. Mistake number 2, naming the emotion instead of showing it. She was angry. He felt nervous. Sarah was devastated. When you name an emotion, you hand the reader a label. When you show it, you hand them an experience. She was angry makes me nod. She set the mug down so carefully it was worse than if she had thrown it. Makes me feel something. Emotions live in behavior. What does anger do to the specific character's voice? Their hands, their word choice, their silences. That is where the good stuff is. One caution, because writers here show don't tell, and they swing way too far the other way. If every emotion becomes a pounding heart, a sharp breath, and widening eyes, you have just traded one crutch for another. I read manuscripts where hearts pound so often, I want to refer the whole character list to a cardiologist. Here's the fix. When you catch a named emotion in revision, ask what this feeling would make your character do or say that another character would not. Take, he was nervous. For one character, that is checking the same locked door twice. For another, it is talking too fast and laughing at nothing. The specificity makes it yours. Mistake number 3, the backstory dump. Usually in chapter 1, but almost always somewhere in the first 3, and usually right where things should be getting interesting. Your character walks into a tense conversation, and suddenly we get 3 paragraphs about their childhood, their ex, and why they do not trust people anymore. The story slams to a halt so the author can hand us a biography. Here's the truth that changed how I think about backstory. Readers do not bond with characters because they know everything about them. They bond because they are curious about them. Intrigue plus a small dose of relatability is the glue. Information is not. Think of backstory like an iceberg. You, the author, need all of it. The reader needs to see maybe 10%, and only the piece that helps them understand the scene they're in right now. The fix? For every chunk of backstory in your opening chapters, ask one question. Does the reader need this right now to follow what is happening? Not, would it be nice? Need. If not, cut it. Save it in a separate file and drip it in later where it earns its place. Your pacing will thank you. Now, those first 3, most writers have at least heard of. The next few are subtler. This is where drafts really give themselves away and where editors like me start filling in the margins with notes. Mistake number 4, crutch words and echoes. Every writer has a set of default words their drafting brain reaches for on autopilot. The usual suspects are just, really, very, suddenly, began to, started to, a little, somehow, and so on. She just really needed to think is a first draft sentence. She needed to think is a finished book sentence. Suddenly deserves special mention. If something sudden happens, the sentence itself should feel sudden. Announcing it can sometimes slow us down instead. Then there are echoes, the same distinctive word showing up twice in close range. If glimmered appears twice on one page, your reader will notice even if they can't say why the prose feels off. Common words are invisible. Distinctive words have a memory. The fix is to build your personal crutch word list, and you will find yours fast once you start looking. Then do a dedicated pass for each one. Not find and delete, find and decide. Some of them are doing real work, but most of them are not. Mistake number 5, monotone sentence rhythm. She walked to the window. She looked at the street. She thought about calling him. She picked up the phone. Nothing is technically wrong with any of those sentences, but it is subject verb, subject verb, subject verb. That is a metronome, and metronomes put readers to sleep. The sneaky version is the ing opener. Walking to the window, she looked at the street. Picking up her phone, she scrolled to his name. When every other sentence opens with an ing phrase, that is a first draft fingerprint. Bonus points if the two actions cannot physically happen at once. Unlocking the door, she sprinted across the parking lot. That is one talented woman. And once you see this pattern, you cannot unsee it. Here's the fix. Read your work out loud. I know. Every editor says to do this. We say it because it works. Your ear catches what your eyes skate right past. Then vary your lengths on purpose. Take those 4 flat sentences and reshape them. She went to the window. The empty street below made her think of him, so she reached for her phone. Same beats, but now the long line and the short one play off each other. Follow a long winding sentence with a short one, and the short one hits harder. Mistake number 6. Reaching for a fancier word than said. Somewhere along the way, we were all taught that said is boring. So first drafts fill up with characters who exclaim, interject, declare, and my personal favorite, hiss. But here is what your English teacher left out. Said is invisible. Readers' eyes slide right past it, and that is exactly what you want because it keeps the spotlight right where it belongs, on the words being spoken. Every fancy tag does the opposite. It pulls the reader out of the conversation for half a second and reminds them there's an author back there, thumbing through a thesaurus. And about that hiss. Writers love a good hiss. Just check that that line actually has an S in it because you cannot hiss the sentence, get out. I have tried. Here is the before and after. First draft version. I already told you, he retorted. The tag makes you notice the writing. Revised. I already told you, he said. Now you stay in the argument, not the prose. The fix, default to said and asked and let them disappear. If a line needs more heat than that, the answer is almost never fancier words. It's what comes next. Mistake number 7 is the flip side of the same coin, tagging every single line. Picture a conversation between just 2 people. I'm leaving, Maya said. You can't, Daniel said. Watch me, Maya said. Every line gets a name stapled to it, even though only 2 people are in the room. Here is why that quietly hurts the scene. When only 2 people are talking, the reader can follow the ping pong on their own. Your paragraph breaks should already be doing the work. 1 speaker per paragraph. Tagging every line on top of that is like a GPS that repeats the same turn 6 times. It clutters the rhythm, and underneath that, it tells the reader you do not quite trust them to keep up. So, cut the tags wherever it's obvious who's speaking. And when you do want to carry tone or remind us who is talking, use an action beat instead of a tag. Instead of, I'm fine, she said angrily, write, I'm fine, she shoved the drawer shut. That one move does 3 jobs in a single sentence. It shows the emotion, it anchors us in the physical scene, and it tells us who's speaking, all without a tag. The fix is to trust your reader to follow a 2-person exchange. Cut the tags they do not need, and let action beats carry the ones that are left. Mistake number 8, head hopping. Sliding between characters' inner thoughts mid-scene without a deliberate point of view shift. One paragraph, we're in Maya's head feeling her dread. The next, we suddenly know what Daniel is secretly thinking about Maya. Then we are back in Maya 3 lines later. And the worst version does all of that inside a single paragraph. Here's why this matters more than writers realize. Point of view is intimacy. When readers settle into one character's head, they invest. Every unannounced hop breaks that investment and quietly asks them to start over. Do it enough and readers feel distant from everyone without ever knowing why. This is one of the most common things I flag in developmental edits. It is genuinely widespread, so if this is you, I am not calling you out. I am trying to save you from paying an editor to tell you the same thing. The fix here is to stick to one point of view per scene. If you need another character's perspective, give it a scene break or its own chapter. Then, in revision, hunt for anything your point of view character could not actually know. Another character's private thoughts, a feeling in someone else's chest, something happening behind their back. If Maya cannot see it, hear it, or reasonably confer it, it does not belong in Maya's scene. Okay, number 9. If you only fix one thing from this entire video, make it this one, because it works at the scene level and it is the difference between a manuscript that drags and one that pulls the readers forward. Mistake number 9. Your scenes start too early and end too late. First draft scenes almost always open with arrival logistics. The character drives to the restaurant, parks, walks in, greets their friend, orders coffee, makes small talk about the weather, and then on page 2, the actual scene begins. The friend reveals the secret. Then the scene ends and we get the reverse. They pay the check, they say goodbye, walk to the car, drive home, and think about what just happened. Screenwriters have a principle for this. Arrive late, leave early. Enter the scene as close to the interesting moment as possible and get out the second the scene has done its job. Readers do not need the commute. They will happily assume your characters know how doors work. So start that coffee scene with, "There's something I have to tell you," Jess said, before Maya had even sat down. Now we're in it. End on the reveal or on Maya's one-line reaction and cut. The white space after the hard ending does more work than a page of introspective winding down ever could. And here is the bigger test hiding underneath this one. Every scene has to change something. A relationship, a plan, what the character knows, what the reader knows. If you can delete a scene and nothing downstream breaks, that scene was not pulling its weight. The fix? For every scene, find the latest moment you can possibly enter and the earliest moment you can possibly leave. Then ask what changed between those 2 points. If the answer is nothing, you have found a cut. And cuts like that are exactly how a baggy first draft turns into a book people cannot put down. Almost every fix we just discussed is a version of the same move. Cut what the reader does not need and trust them a little more than your draft instinct wants you to. Here's a little recap of the 9 mistakes we just went through. Filter words, named emotions, backstory dumps, crutch words, monotone rhythm, fancy dialogue tags, tagging every line, head hopping, and scenes that start too early and end too late. Use this as a checklist during your next round of self-edits and watch how fast your pages stop reading like a first draft. If you spotted your own writing in this video, good. I'm serious. That means you can now see these things, and seeing them is most of the battle. First drafts are supposed to be messy. That's their whole job. The writers who make it aren't the ones who draft clean. They're the ones who revise well. Now, if one of these stung a little, that is not a knock on you. It is the one that hides best from the person who wrote it, no matter how many passes you do. That is exactly what a second set of eyes is for. You're clearly dedicated to sharpening your skills, and I am so happy you're here. I put out a new video every week to help you refine your writing craft, level up your self-editing game, and work well with an editor when you're ready. So if this was useful, subscribe and turn on notifications so next week's video shows up right when it drops. See you next week.